Good morning, Shlog fans. It is Thursday morning, and I am getting ready to start the Gospel of Two Wheels here in another 12 minutes. So, if you haven't ever watched our live show, you really should. It's a lot of fun. It's every Thursday morning at 7:30 Mountain Time. And sometimes we have a theme, sometimes we don't, but we always have it open for questions, open for discussions, and we have tons of people tuning in from all over the country. It's just a lot of fun. We give each other a hard time. We help each other out with problems on bikes. Anyway, it's a lot of fun. I'm getting ready to start that. I got to make another cup of coffee, shoot the live show, and then get to work. So hopefully today I can get the camera out more than I did yesterday. Sorry about that. It just wasn't the day. But today we got actually some really cool bikes to work on. So I'm excited. You should be excited. Yeah, let's get to the Daily Shlog. Alright guys, so today I'm actually going to film working on motorcycles unlike yesterday. And we are starting the day off with this lovely 2017 YZ450FX. We are going to be putting a new tire and mousse on the front and greasing, cleaning and greasing all of the linkage and swing arm bearings. So this is something honestly you guys ought to do. I recommend once a year. Just take the thing out, grease all the chassis bearings. Really, if you do that, I've found that they last like almost indefinitely. Unless you have a really bad day or you wash the thing too much and spray water in there and blow it out. If you grease it that often, generally they stay in really, really good shape for a really long time. So I'm going to jack this thing up, take it apart, and yeah, show you guys what that looks like. Alright guys, so we got the back end off of this motorcycle, all of it. Doesn't really take that long to get it all apart. Just take your time, get it apart. You know, I know where all the bolts go, so they're kind of in a giant pile over there. But if you don't, you can just slide them back into the holes they came out of. When you're doing this job, you've got, let's see, two bearings on the swing arm to check and grease. One bearing on the dog bone and two on the tri-link. So you want to make sure you get to all of those. A lot of times people will forget the tri-link or the dog bone that bolts up right in here. So make sure you get that. Also, we're going to be hitting this lower shock bearing with some grease while we're at it, just to make sure it's all good. It's a little needle bearing in there too. So now we're just going to push all these bearings, all the races out. Take a good look at them, clean them, and then re-grease them and put them all back together. It's a pretty messy job, so you definitely want to get some gloves on for it. And yeah, let's get to work. Start with the dog bone. And when you're pushing these things out, you want to go slow, because if they're dry at all, you can have needles fall out and you'll lose them. You know, if they're super dry, that doesn't matter because you're going to have to replace them. But if they're just a little bit dry, that you don't need to necessarily replace them. So you want to go easy. There we go. And these look actually pretty good. I mean, they're definitely need some more grease, but they're looking pretty good. So I like to just push the race out on one side so that these needles stay in place. And then take a look at this, and I'm gonna spray a little brake clean in there. Go. Rag. Alright, then we're going to get our Motor X grease. And really any good waterproof grease works. I just like Motor X. So look, those bearings are trying to come out. You got to be vigilant when you're doing this so you don't lose needles. Because a lot of times they're going to want to move on you. Actually, it's not a bad thing that you have some moving around. That means you're going to get grease everywhere it needs to go. And see, when I spray that brake clean, it's okay because this is all sealed up, so it's not going into the other bearing. So clean that up. Now, a little too much grease is better than not enough. All right, so that one's done. 2 more on this, and then we'll do the swing arm. All right, so now we're going to do the swing arm. Swing arm is actually it's the same and different. The cool thing about swing arm bearings is that the needles are caged, so you can't lose them. So you can take the race all the way out, clean it really good, put it all back together without having to worry about the needles falling out. But otherwise, it's the same as the way you grease it. So let's take these things apart and take a look at them. So you can see in there, I think, there you go. You can tell that they're caged needles. I don't know why they don't use caged needles on the other one, because it makes it so much easier, but these look great. They're really clean, so I'm just going to slather some extra grease in there and put them back together. There we go, guys. Swing arm and linkage bearings are greased. Now we got to reassemble, and that's all there is to it. And some of you guys mentioned you want more broke racer tips. This is one of them. It doesn't take that long. It doesn't take any special tools to take this stuff apart and grease the heck out of everything, and it will save you money down the line, so you can go do more racing, more riding, buy more tires and more gas. So at least once a year, more often if you're in the wet and muddy stuff and you're doing a lot of washing on the bike. But seriously, it's one of the easiest things you can do to keep your bike in good shape. Also, it really helps the performance of the suspension, because as these things start to bind up and get dry, the rear suspension doesn't move like it needs to, and anyway, it goes on and on and on down the road. So another quick tip about this job is, see how I took the whole brake system off? That makes life a lot easier. Both taking it off and reinstalling keeps that out of the way. Doesn't want to push down on the swing arm as you're putting it in there. It's just a super simple but really good thing to do. So I'm going to reassemble it. I don't think you guys need to see that. If I see anything special, I'll let you know. All right, so real quick, getting ready to put this swing arm pivot bolt back in. And just a quick note on all the bolts as they go back in. You should definitely put at least a thin layer of grease or anti-seize on them or something, because it helps them to come back out. It's not what the actual things are pivoting on. They shouldn't be pivoting on these bolts. They should be pivoting on the bearings. But if the bearings start to seize or get old or dry or cold or whatever, it's good to have some lubrication on these things so that it still moves smoothly, and then also you can get this out when you need to. All right, we got everything done. It's awesome. Check this thing. Try to lift up and down on it. There's no movement. It's awesome. So super easy preventative maintenance, and right there, that's all the tools it took to do it. Definitely don't have to have this. You could just have that 8mm and a ratchet. And yeah, nothing special, guys. Definitely take the time, get out, get the bike, grease up the chassis bearings. It's a really good idea. Steering head bearings are another thing you ought to do. This one was done not long ago, so we're not going to do it. But now we're going to flip it around, put a new mousse and tire in the front, and replace the front wheel bearings. So join me. Right on, we got Garrett's bike spun around. We're now putting a new tire and mousse in this thing using a nitro mousse platinum and a Bridgestone N59. Pretty much my favorite setup for the front end of a bike. I'm going to set the camera up and let you guys watch this in kind of like a time-lapsey kind of thing. But make sure you comment below if you're interested in any more information on changing mousses. I've got other videos on it. But if you have any questions at all, just, like I said, comment below. I'll get back to you.
Let's move your face. I'm gonna burn you right. just like that, ready to rock and roll, no flats ever. That's what I love about mousses, is it's just simple. Maybe it's not the best feel, maybe it's not the best whatever, but you can't ever get a flat.
Now, time for front wheel bearings. Boom! Looking good. New wheel bearings, new tire, new mousse, and I'm telling you, there's not much that looks better on a motorcycle than brand new tires. They just make a bike look so much better. His rear tire is still old, but it's got a lot of life left in it, so we're just doing the front today, but man, that looks awesome. Oh look, I gave Zach a break from working on ATVs today. He's getting to work on a motorcycle. He's actually doing the same thing that I just did on Garrett's with the linkage. This is a good time of year, people. Grease your linkage bearings, steering head bearings, all that good stuff. So, yeah, Lance is getting all the chassis bearings, steering head and linkage and swing arm, and then a new rear tire also. So, yeah, now is the time. It's starting to get nice. Get your stuff done. So, I have 2 more tires to change with mousses. So, I'm just going to set this camera up, let it run, and I'll put some cool punk rock music on with a time lapse of me changing a bunch of mousses. That's a lot of mousses, and I can say that the NM18305 Platinum that I just put in is definitely bigger than the last NM18305. Nitro mousse, you guys got to get your stuff together. I got it in there because it was a used tire and because it's not my first rodeo. If that were someone without a good stand and on a brand new tire, that would have been a giant nightmare. As it was tough. So, Nitro, figure it out. I know you guys are changing recipes and things like that, trying to make this better, but it's got to get, the quality control's got to get better.
Oh, right on, guys. Awesome day. We're getting close to the end of the day. basically changed a ton of tires today. Zach is finishing up greasing the steering head bearings on that 300XC. He did the linkage and swing arm bearings. I did the linkage and swing arm bearings on Garrett's 2017 YZ450FX, and new front tire mousse on that. And anyway, it's a great day. Tons of people coming in. It's starting to get busy. It's really nice outside. So, like I said, it's the end of the day. I figured it is time to discuss the Tubliss and the Sedona tires. Now, you guys on the Shlog, I'm going to give you like the little quick rundown. I'm also going to film the full review here. That will be coming out very soon on the channel, hopefully in the next 2 to 3 days. I got a ton of editing to do still, so we'll see if I get that done that fast. But anyway, it's coming soon. Let's start with the tires. The Sedona MX208SR, so steel belted radial, intermediate terrain motocross tire. I can say that honestly, this rear tire was a good tire. It actually held up. I mean, I was really happy with the way the thing worked. It held a line really well on some side hill stuff. It seemed to get traction in the rocks, like the actual just rock. Rear tire was great. The tubeless system did work. As far as I'm concerned, it was fine. All right, let's talk about the front tire. MX208SR Sedona front tire. 60 miles of desert riding, a lot of decomposed granite, a lot of harsh, very sharp things. Tire looks great. It's got the NMS 220 front mousse in it. And I can say that I do not like this front tire. It is so stiff, and the knobs seem kind of like big and close together. It didn't want to bite, and I definitely had moments of like terror. I didn't trust the front end of the bike. But you know, you can't like everything. And again, all of what I'm saying, I hope you guys take with a grain of salt, because I ride differently than a lot of people. So that is my official review on the Sedona MX208SR steel belted radial. I'm going to keep testing it, so make sure you stay tuned. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you think I'm doing a good job of this, because I will revisit these tires as we go on and get them tested out here in Colorado, out in our desert here, maybe even this weekend, but definitely soon, and I'll be talking about them again. So, yeah, there we go. Sadness. Filming. I spilled my coffee. Sadness. Mainly because I got to clean it up now. But anyway, Shlog fans, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you guys watching this. You guys have been awesome. The support has been massive. The channel is growing quickly, and I really appreciate that. Yeah, I can't say enough. I love you guys. Thanks for watching. Get out, spread the gospel of two wheels, and please, it's so nice out right now. You gotta find some time to ride your dirt bikes.